Hi, I'm Sathi Roy. Welcome to my series, Conversations with Phoenix. Direct, powerful, and unfiltered discussions on humanity, the universe, relationships, and the cycles of transformation.
It's been so interesting, the human experience, that I've been walking through the past few years, because what I've really come to understand is the irony of life. And what I mean by that is being able to hold two things as true that appear to be the opposite, and just fully actually understanding that through experience, and not just conceptually understanding it and conceptually saying that makes sense and I can see that and yeah, of course I know it, but really experiencing that and embodying that has been a huge breakthrough for me.
Yeah, and this is the beautiful thing about the Vedic tradition is that we don't ever say anything is good and bad. We never say anything is black and white. We have a term called Dharma Sankata. So a Dharma Sankata is when we're faced with a moral dilemma with actually no clear answer. So for example, you come across a lion about to eat a deer. You save the deer, the lion goes hungry. You let the lion eat the deer dies. And so that in that way, somebody's going to die. There is some sacrifice involved. There is no perfect answer there. And that's actually how life is. If we observe our life, it's constant Dharma Sankatas. Because every action will have something or another that you will need to give up to gain it. That's when you come here. That means you miss out on being in Miami.
Right.
That means you have to go on a plane. That means you have to drive for hours. So all of that you're doing, but at the same time you receive something. But there's always a trade-off.
Always.
So life is constant trade-offs. And what we're doing is looking at the trade-offs and saying, okay, one way or another, something's gonna be have to give, but what can I do to help me get closer to love? And so that's how it's the intention of why we're doing the things that we're doing. It's never gonna be black and white. Even when Arjuna was facing in the battlefield and he was looking at his enemies, yes, the right thing to do is to do his dharma, his duty, but also that's gonna require killing, right? And so when we look at Sanatana Dharma, it's all about these Dharma Sankatas. How do we navigate them? There is no clear answer. There is no right or wrong. Everything can be viewed in a positive light or a negative light.
Right. I love that. And I always think about life as an infinity symbol. I visualize everything as an infinity symbol or yin yang or circle, right?
Yeah.
Because it is all connected and it is all one. And like you said, you have to give to receive. You have to let go to invite in. Life is essentially us experiencing the duality, which is each side of everything, to then come to terms with where the balance is for us, based on our habits and karmas.
And also, it says there's only two ways to grow on this path of life: suffering or grace. That's the only two ways that we grow. And so suffering is just why do we suffer? It's to help us to detach from the things that make us feel like we can control everything, right? Suffering brings humility. It allows us to search for something beyond ourselves that we can utilize to help us to transform and change. And when you look at it from a larger perspective, suffering is also a form of grace.
Yeah.
Right? It's a form of grace delivered by nature. So nature brings suffering into our reality only so we can change. And so what is the point of the Vedic tradition? It's to say to people, hey, look, if you want nature to be your teacher, go for it. You'll get to where you need to be. And at the same time, if you want to utilize some other forms of practices where you don't necessarily need to suffer to learn the lesson,
right,
then we have the yoga philosophy and the yoga traditions that you can utilize for transformation.
So back to how many different ways you can attain, wisdom, get closer to love, get closer to source. There is one school of thought which is like depriving yourself of everything, and then there's the other, which is not necessarily doing that. Right? I have to be a monk, for example. So what would you say about that?
So if you look at the divine has so many aspects. It can be formless. It can be form. It's paradoxical. You can look at the divine like you look at light. So in science, we know that the light particle can either be a wave or it can be a dense particle, right? So light can either be a particle or a wave, depending on how you observe it. And science and scientists have not been able to prove why that is the case, how it can be formless and how it can take density, right? It's paradoxical. In the same way, the divine is like that. There's so many. So no matter as many forms and aspects of the divine there is, that's how many ways there are. So there's so many ways, right? Some people, for them, it's to be a monk or a nun and to detach externally from the world, go into an ashram and to realize their nature. For others, it's to live in the world, like Arjuna, who's the warrior, and to do their dharma or duty and to find the divine in that. So everybody has a way. Ultimately, what we're trying to practice is called vairagya. Vairagya just means inner detachment. Okay, and when I say inner detachment, it's very important to understand what I mean by that. It doesn't mean I detach, I'm a robot now. I don't care what I do. I don't care how things are. I don't care if it's nice or not. That's not real detachment, right? Detachment for me is like, imagine you're growing a mango tree. Okay, you're growing a beautiful mango tree. If I tell you, do it in a detached way, you said, okay, do you care what the fruit comes out if you're detached? If it's good, if it tastes good, does it really matter? No, who cares, right? But if I told you you're growing that tree not for you, but for the one you love, and the first mango will be given to the one you love most in the world, will you do everything required to make sure that mango tastes good? Not for you, right? But for the one you love. And so in the same way, when we talk about detachment, detach from the fruits of your action, but attach yourself to making it whatever you do, a beautiful experience so others can partake in it and transform. That's real detachment. Detach from the results, but have the intention, I want to do whatever I'm doing so it can benefit others.
Right. Presence.
Yes. And so for that, just to finish on that, so it doesn't matter if you're a monk or if you're in the world. It's about inner detachment, vairagya.